Hello. Oh, wow. Interesting. So we're full of synchronicity before we even start this video. So I woke up and I had a dream last night that I thought was interesting, or weird. Not weird in a weird way. It was interesting. Um, the subject matter of the dream. And then I talked to Remy for a little bit, like very briefly. Sent her a voice note. We voice chatted for a little bit. See this, and this is exactly what I told her. It's like as soon as I go to talk about it, it's like everything just leaves my brain, and I know what it is, but I can't communicate it. I'm like cheating the camera. I'm trying to, not like full on, not all the way over here. Okay, let me catch a thought. Let me keep this train going. So I'm using a different program today. Today I'm using Logitech Capture instead of OBS because I opened up OBS and before I even like clicked start virtual camera, it was already blurry. So I was like, well, let me go to Logitech Capture because in Logitech I can manually control the focus of the camera. And so that's why that manual control was interesting. That was a synchronicity. Um, and so basically at some point it was I think the reading last time, it's like it's time for us to face certain things because it's time for us to move on to others. And it feels like there are some things that we still may struggle with that we don't necessarily have to, going back to the shadow and, the relative distance between us and the light and the thing obscuring the light and the light that can make a shadow look bigger or smaller than it actually is. And it's not until facing it, it's not until like putting it into the light that we can see the true dimensions of it. Not to know how afraid we should be, but it's to allow making space for the sun. That's what, okay. I didn't know what to title that last one, but that's what I'm going to title it because that's what it was with the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Swords and all of the things that the sun means. And I didn't think that quote from Cindy would, in that one Pisces video, I believe, would keep coming back the way it's coming back. But it's like, if you don't feel the warmth of the sun, would you blame the sun? So one second, I'm gonna do this real quick. And so that's why it's like for the things that we can handle, it's for us to handle. And for the things that we can't handle, we won't handle. Or they will be handled for us as always, right? The benevolent universe. I feel like the benevolent universe is a strong way to refer to it in recent times for some people, probably. um, but it's like those things will still be taken care of on our behalf, but it's time for us to handle the things that we can't handle so that again we can move on to other things. And we don't know that we can we don't know that we can handle something until we're in the position to do it. And that's something that I'm sort of like living out right now in a very interesting way because there we go. And it's to do with work. Oh my gosh, yeah. So the dream, so I had this dream last night. It started with me like sometimes in some dreams I just have a knowing. Sometimes I'll dream the dream from start to finish and then I'll dream it from the beginning but be in it. And because I've already dreamed the whole dream, there's a certain amount of knowing that I have. Sometimes I just know stuff in dreams and I don't have to dream the whole dream to know it. Um, and so anyway, I had this dream that there was a missing person who was presumed to be departed. Yeah, I didn't want to put reversals in it. And then I saw, I had some thought. I was like, well, since this, so there was that person and somebody else, and somehow they had met each other, and it was before. Oh, snap! Did this just get deeper? Oh my gosh! I think this just got deeper. I was talking to me. I'm like, I had this interesting dream last night. I think it just got deeper. So there was this person, and he met somebody else. It was two dudes. And I remember thinking, like, since this person is missing, I wonder if the world would be impacted if they were found. Because it's like there's already the timeline where they're missing for however long they're missing. But I'm like, well, I see this dude right here. Well, I wasn't physically there. It was a dream I was dreaming in the third. I guess I was watching it. I don't think I appeared in the dream at all. Um, so I was just watching somebody else. And he had met somebody and they somehow hit it off. It was like the interaction seemed kind of coarse and aggressive, but they had some kind of chemistry. And then the person who was missing went off and had this completely other life. And when I woke up, when the dream was just a weird dream, I was like, I had a dream that there was a missing dude who was presumed to be dead, and he ran off and started a whole new life with another man. But now that I'm talking about it, and so I'm using this deck. There's the tower at the bottom of the deck. It's perfect. Because I want to look before and after that Three of Swords. Because in us handling the things that we can now handle and moving beyond so that we can get to whatever more is for us to get to, especially a more that we're manifesting. Um, we go through that Three of Swords dark corridor. But now as I'm talking about it, it's like I almost wonder if that person that went missing, that was presumed to be dead, was like not reborn, but in the dream he did, like, he left his old life. He just like left it, stepped away from everything to live this new life with the younger dude. But now I'm like, I think they were the same person. It was just like someone who I guess that's interesting. Because human me was like, I feel like sometimes we spend and exert so much energy running from our pasts that we can't fully exist in a now moment. And there's a difference between existing in the now and running from the past, and existing in the now and being afraid of the future. Like, those aren't necessarily the same, because in the now moment, there is no fear or hesitation or anxiety about either of those, the past or the future or the now. And it seems that a lot of times we find ourselves in the now, there's some kind of ulterior motive. And that was the Seven of Cups. So I was shuffling through. I also brought out the After Tarot. Hey, Steph, how you doing? I also brought out the After Tarot because I used the Before Tarot before. And the Seven of Cups and the Seven of Cups came out, and the King of Swords was at the bottom of the deck. Um, and I just, now it's Judgment and the Seven of Pentacles. But let me see if I can't find these real quick. Because it was this energy of um, there are choices and decisions that we make that come with other choices. It's like we think we're choosing one thing and one thing only, but in reality, we're choosing multiple things. And some of those things that we also choose when we make that first choice, we don't want or we don't like. And we can be quick to claim interference or unfairness, but it's like when you made that choice, you also chose this. Like, choices come with consequences. And it's interesting because they're reading a little different today. Um, Not necessarily different because they don't necessarily read the same, but it feels like it's reading different. So the Seven of Cups has chosen the cup of money. But and that he also got the snake. So 2 of the cups are empty. Like these 2. When you make one choice, you actually choose multiple things. And if this is the choice you're making, if you're choosing money, it's probably motivated by some kind of greed or envy. I mean, envy would be the easiest to go to because it's the snake, and snakes represent envy and the deadly sins, I think. So it's like when you're choosing that, you're actually choosing multiple things. So there is a need to be, maybe that's what this is. There's a need to be cognizant, or to be more fully conscious of why we make the choices and decisions that we make. Because as long as we're not, and like this King of Swords is not holding the sword. It's like he's gone out and he's gotten his own crown because he couldn't lift the sword to get this one. And so it's not necessarily an energy of self-importance, but it's excuses. It's an energy of excuses and reasons. Never aware necessarily of how the choices that they make ensnares themselves. And it finds someone or something external to blame. And it's just like, it's time to move beyond that. That's why facing the tower or chasing towers avoids other towers. It's because it dismantles that to the point where it doesn't become as much as of a hindrance and blockage as it was before. So the person in the dream, now that I'm like more awake and thinking about it, now that I'm in this space and thinking about this and developing this, I think he met himself, or he became a new self, a renewed self. And the end of the dream, like the person was at some kind of event, and there were people who were like meditating and stuff. It felt like some kind of athletic event, like it was in like a football stadium. But they were like, it was like wellness or spirituality or whatever, like meditation, yoga, and stuff like that. And somebody was like, yeah, I'm manifesting this, so, or something like that. So like, this is what I'm doing. I don't know. It was interesting. Uh, but yeah, it's like, it's time for us to face those things so we can go on to bigger things. And in the facing of those things, we realize how much they actually don't restrict us anymore, which is the point to facing them. And I remember, and I talked about it, was it late November, early December? Yeah, yeah, because it was the 23rd, was the day before, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It was like a week after that, a bunch of old fears just like came back in force. And I was like, I haven't felt these fears in, at that point, like 3 years. And they were related to like what I call my darkest night. And I call it my darkest night because like that's the dark night when I was like, okay, everything has got to change. I can't be in this position. I can't be in this space again. If I am, I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to make it. And since then I haven't dealt with anything that was so challenging or difficult or hard that it put me back in that position. Because I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going back there. So only choice is through it. Um, which has served me in a lot of ways. I think it's I don't know, because I've been sad before since then, but it's just like my natural response is buoyancy now. I just don't sink like I used to. And sometimes like I'll be like, I need to feel this feeling. And so I'll give myself permission to feel the feeling, but I'll still like rise back up. I won't fall into it. And I'm grateful for that. Like, don't get me wrong. Glad to not be sinking into depressions because I live that. I'm over it. Um, but again, because of that though, that just means I have to face everything. Um, and before, I would allow myself the time to just sink. But anyway, so it was the old fears that came up, and I was like, maybe I should just quit. Like, I don't even want to be in the position where I have to find out if this fear is valid or not. And then it was like heavy on my mind, and it was so weird because again, I hadn't felt anything like that in a minute. And I was like, if this is what this is going to be, I don't want this. And it's interesting because I feel like if I would have made the choice to quit, that's what my life would have been. Every time there was an unknown, that fear would have came back and I would have reinforced the precedent, the old trauma response of just running away, just quitting. But because I decided to stay, now that I'm doing everything that I was afraid of doing, I firsthand experience it's not what I feared it to be because my life isn't what it was back then. And for me, it's very what somatic of the body. It's my eyes. And it's like my eyes, ever since I got the cataract surgery, my vision is not what it used to be. I'm capable of things that I wouldn't have been able to do my job, the job that I'm doing right now before. And that was another thing because it was like I'm already doing so much that I wasn't capable of before. I'm already doing and experiencing more than what I thought my life could be and would be. So why would some non-imaginary but overly inflated circumstances all of a sudden be enough to just have me throw all of that away? And it was a process of working through it. And eventually I thought I would have somebody else there with me in a way that I honestly haven't. Um, but that's fine because again, it's like it's helped me to be a little bit more independent in it. And me being more independent in it, it's like I'm not as reliant on someone else as I may have been. Um, it taught me, or it because of that title card. The title card was actually at the top of the after tarot when I pulled it out. It's like I lived life and I found out that those things that used to bind me no longer do so. So again, it's like now with those fears laid to rest, there are situations and moments where I'm called to step up, where I can step up, and it's not a tower moment. And it's not a tower because I've already faced the fear and I realized how overly inflated it was because of the past. So now it puts me more in the now moment because I can experience more now and be triggered by the past and old fears less. You get what I'm saying? Because if it comes up and I'm triggered and I go back to the past, that puts me out of the now moment. Now it's not me showing up in this environment. It's the old me who was afraid because his vision was getting worse and worse and worse at an increasing rate, and he didn't believe he had a future. It's like, but that's not me anymore. I know that to not be the case. Like it's already being proven to me in my now moment, in my reality. Like my reality itself is proof of that. So why then would I be so quick to step back? Because I'm human and we're all human. And I don't think we're being asked to be any more, I don't think we're being asked to be any less human than we are. But limited perspective and perception is also human. Limited knowing is also human. Sometimes we don't know until we face it. The cards just came out. It's the Fool and the Ten of Pentacles. And it's interesting here. Oh, look. The Fool is like baby energy. It's like child energy. It's like the person in the white dog, but in this one, it's found the first pinnacle of many. And this one, it's still clinging on to the ledge, which is interesting because it's like, the way the fool was walking off of that ledge before, you think they just free fall. But this fool is like, I need more courage. So he's like getting a nostril or two full of the scent of that flower before he fully lets go. But in that, he's abandoned all the tools. So the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords all fit in this symbolically in some way in the knapsack. Twitty! Hello. Feeding the Randy bugs. Hello, good morning, Tina. How are y'all doing? So yeah, it's just like we're being, I don't want to say we're being called beyond two more, but it's an invitation question mark. I don't know. So these are shuffled. I'm gonna give this another one. I also have the minis, but I might not use them. The pocket wild unknown. I was gonna go for the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords in both of them. I'll just give this a cut. And I'll look from the bottom. The Seven of Swords, Temperance, and the King of Pentacles. I feel like this is perfectly that Fool with the Ten of Pentacles that just came out. It's very self-paced. It's very based upon our allowance. And it's interesting because allowance is something that, like you do your chores, you get an allowance. Even if you don't do your chores, sometimes you still get an allowance. But it's an allowance linked to like how much we allow. So the more we allow, the more we receive in a way because of what we open ourselves up to. So that's the bottom of the deck, the bottom three. Let's go looking for this Three of Swords. Yeah, because December was my Two of Swords month. There was a lot of Two of Swords moments in December, and a lot of things are moving and happening and being revealed. And what was in the moon is now in the sun, but it's only in the sun because of living life and experiencing. The sun would have never come to those dark things had I not given myself the chance or opportunity to experience them, even amidst the fear. But I've gotten better at that. So this is difficult. I wish I could just lay these down. Watch this Three of Swords be at like the top of the deck. There we go. That's easier. Oh. Ooh. The Son of Swords and the Mother of Cups. And interestingly enough, there's the Seven of Cups again. The Ace of Wands on the other side. I'll actually take these two. Oof, well. Maybe this video is over. I think I've already said everything I need to say. Hold on, wait. Because it was the mother and then two. So the Six of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Son of Swords are going into Blooming Rose. Where? I thought I saw a rose emoji. I was like, is that Blooming Rose? Oh, snap. Hold up, wait. Blooming Rose, that was you. I thought you were Steph for a second. I don't know. I glanced over. Okay, yeah. And then I don't know. My brain read Evening Sky Reflections, but it clearly says Blooming Rose. Sorry, Blooming Rose. How are you doing? I mean, maybe I can. It probably. It might be a reiteration of what was already said. It might unfold into something different. Um, but with the Six of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, speaking of allowance, the Six of Pentacles is here, which is interesting. It feels like okay. It feels like because plants grow towards the sun, right? And we see this curve in the plant. So it feels like we want to grow in a different direction. And so with that direction in mind, we move forward. Okay, yeah. We want something different. And with that in mind, we move forward. It causes us to manifest. It's very Abraham Hickson, like the first or second step of manifestation. Like you experience something that you want, or you experience something that you don't want, and you fire your rocket into not the void, not the abyss, the vortex, into the vortex. But as you're going forward, it feels like you end up hitting this Three of Swords. You end up hitting the very thing that you want to escape from. And that's why, like this Son of Swords has that's why this Son of Swords has so much gusto behind it, so much momentum and celerity. But it heads right into this Three of Swords, and depending on the sword of the sun, it might be deflected by this. It might just bounce right off. And then all of the force that he was moving to this with, an equal amount of force he's repulsed with. Cue a Dark Knight, probably. Maybe not, but probably because, humans' feelings. And then after that, we have the Mother of Cups, the Seven of Cups, and the Ten of Swords. Well, it's the Mother of Cups on the other side. So on the other side is actually there's some kind of understanding or some kind of enlightenment, some kind of awareness, something happens in the dark beyond this Three of Swords. And it's because, again, this energy is so focused on turning away from the dark. I should put it this way because then it's growing towards the Ace of Wands. It's interesting, actually, because this energy, it's like it's plants, they turn towards the light and it wants a new direction. That's what makes that's what gives it so much momentum going forward. But in reality, it's almost like sometimes we have to turn away from the light to turn to it. It's almost like if you have a plant that's growing and there's a wall, even if the sun is on the other side of the wall, the plant is going to grow into the wall. So sometimes it has to grow around, almost like a beanstalk, so it can be higher, and then it can clear the wall. And clearance was a thing. I don't know if I said it, but for some reason the word clearance was like in my brain, and not like a sale, but like height. Oh, because I was thinking about D&D. That's why. Oh, that's interesting. My character has a spell called Mold Earth, and it can create like a 5 by 5 by 5 cube or something within a 5 by 5 by 5 cube it can manipulate. And so I made a wall to stop goblins from attacking the cart, but it can only be 5 feet high. So I was like, there's a 5 foot clearance. So the goblins have to at least struggle a little bit if they want to steal from us. Talking about goblins, Twitty, you did a goblin video. I don't I know I watched the dragon one. I can't remember if I watched the goblin one. Uh Embrace the oxymoronic existence, exactly. And it's like it's because this is in an energy of avoiding the dark that it is repelled, that it can't break through this energy. And because it can't break through it, it ironically almost stays in the dark, because there are things like six out of seven of these cups are facing the moon. And going back to the Seven of Cups and the King of Swords in the After Tarot, which is why I was like, this is basically what I already said. So this is the same energy as the Seven of Cups with the King of Swords, but this is actually facing the things in the dark to understand how the choices and decisions that we make come with unintended consequences. And somebody said that, Russ said that in the Leo Chiron reading, it was one of the alchemy things. It might have been Phallus. I think it was Phallus, which would make sense for his mythology. Unintended consequences. But the unintended consequence actually like works against us. And that's why the Ten of Swords is here. And it's like it continues to work against us until we reach that point that it doesn't. But when we make those choices and decisions that don't work against us, it's like when we're making those choices, it's another sword in the back. But when we flip that and we start making the cup towards the sun choice, it actually transitions us out of that. Which is, again, it's the person who was presumed missing, presumed. Um, I don't know why I don't want to say the word today, but that's fine. But in reality, it's like, no, they're just like, they're off living a new life. And so if you can't find them where they used to be, that's because they're no longer there. And I think I've experienced that before. There was someone who I was connected to, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't find their energy. What's going on? And then I was like, wait, like they're in a new space. And I was like, oh, like work, that's cute. They're not where they used to be. And I am definitely not going to be the person who forces somebody into a space just to know where they are or whatever. So I'm like, girl, if you're doing it, do it. I'll find you in the next life where we'll both be a lot happier. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's like, we've checked all the usual spots, don't know where they are. And it's like, because they're not there anymore. I don't want to say they've transcended that space, but it's like their choices, actions, decisions, thought processes, it doesn't align to put them in the same scenarios and situations. It's very flying fish, they jump bubbles. But again, it's like this isn't something that we can understand in the light. This isn't something that light gives us access to. And it's almost like, because when you're in the light, you're feeling other feelings. It's like, if everything is fine in my life, I'm not going to go through and dig through all of the baggage that I'm still carrying from the past, because I'm going to be enjoying my life. Hello. You know what I mean? And again, like it's obsessed with finding the light to the point where it doesn't actually make those choices and decisions to make its experience more light. Because sometimes, speaking of walls and earth, you got to break them down. If you want more light, it's on the other side of the wall. So you're going to break down the wall to get more light, or are you just going to keep spiraling? And it's like, it feels like because going back to the plant that like it gets taller so it can clear the wall. There are some walls that will never clear. So we just keep sort of like spiraling upward, waiting for that point. Some walls are to be broken through. Some walls are for clearance. And again, that's where the Archangel Commander. Did I even talk about the Archangel Commander? Because that was a part of it. The one in between the two title cards, it was the Archangel Commander, the burdened one in reverse, and the angel. And in between living life and finding out, it's like we take back our power. There are things that used to hold us down that no longer hold us down, and we come more and more and more into a new energy, into a new life because of the freedom of choice that we have, because we're less triggered by the past, because we hold ourselves to all that we know less and less and open ourselves to experience the more, even more. Some things have to be faced. Some things don't. Some things do. Um, Oof, this is like everything now. So, ooh, the Six of Swords. No rain, no pain, Bo. The Six of Swords actually came out before. The Six of Swords and the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. And I actually love that because if the Lovers represents choices and decisions, it feels like the Lovers are going to ride the rainbow over this. This is, it's us hitting this wall and not being able to break beyond it. But it's like the Lovers just like right over because it's already been resolved. It's like it doesn't completely dominate our decision making processes anymore. And because it doesn't completely dominate our decision making processes anymore, we actually experience more of the now moment and more freedom in life. You know what I mean? Should I go back to these? Yeah, I'll go back to these. Why not? Maybe I won't go back to these. You're right. Ear just started ringing. What does that mean? I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like I don't know anything when it comes to like this means that and that means something else. I have the pocket tarot. See, but I feel like I don't. I feel like it's just like title card. I feel like this is it. This is the message. I don't have to drag this out to like 5 hours. Um. Oh, I wish I pulled out the SKT though. I'm gonna pull out the SKT. And I'm gonna see if I can see that's the one thing about the let's see if I do this. Yep, I'll be right back. Oh, stretch, stretch. And I'm back. So I'm gonna in reverse. I love that. And again, the Eight of Swords and the Ten of Swords were the last cards. This is putting an end to all this. But even Moonlight is obstructed by the shadow of Earth. It's a lunar eclipse. I need you. Psych. Sorry. So let's see. Where is this Archangel Commander? The Ten of Pentacles, it's the Hermit, the Erudite, the Dynasty, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Life, the Wheel of Fortune. Destiny turning. This is at bottom of the deck. And it's that Ten of Pentacles again. It feels very oh gosh, I just had it and I lost it. Oh, it feels like when someone makes an educated, informed choice that looks foolish on the outside. It's like that doesn't work. Like, are you dumb? Are you stupid? Blah blah blah. It's not are you dumb? Are you stupid? But it's something that we don't see of as working, but it does. And it's not beginner's luck. There was no luck in it. It was actually researched. It was an informed choice. It was just privy to information that other people might not necessarily have been privy to because of the venturing, exploring, delving that it did. Luke's ex tenebris. It's light from darkness. Out of darkness, light. Light is born from darkness. Luke's ex tenebris. Out of darkness, light. Going beyond the Three of Swords again. And it's almost like until that point, darkness just has a tendency of infesting and spreading into other light spaces. And so it puts the darkness out of balance because now darkness is encroaching upon the territory of the light. And it's like, because of the things that we don't do within ourselves, collectively, societally, globally, there are things that we allow because of whatever reason we allow them, right? The Archangel Commander. What are you? Excuse me. If this is at the top of, oh no, here it is. I don't say if this is at the top of the deck. Oh, okay, yeah. Nine of Swords, Four of Wands. So the Archangel Commander is in between Holy Water and the Rogue. Yes, Holy Grail and the Rogue. The Ace of Cups and the Seven of Swords. I actually love this because in this Seven of Swords card, see, this is the thing about it's the Luke's ex tenebris. It's the light from darkness and how darkness runs rampant and encroaches upon the territory of the light because of the things that we allow interpersonally, personally, societally, and globally, right? As we prioritize whatever we choose with the Seven of Cups, and as we're like, well, it's not me, I'm not affected. So, if it's not happening to me, it doesn't really exist. It's like, okay. anyway, it's fine. Let's not go there. But see, in this Seven of Swords energy with the present Archangel Commander, and the Archangel Commander again gives us the sword and trains us in the ways of the sword. Now, in this Seven of Swords territory, there's someone watching. It's observed, it's known, it's noted. Before, now I gotta grab the other one. Oh gosh, I should have just grabbed both of them. Oh no! Oh no! And the Seven of Swords again is the rising smoke. And I forget which angel that was. Well, I saw two archangels, but not the archangel commander. Oh, I'm looking for the Seven of Swords anyway. LOL. So I can show you. That's why I love like the Vitruvian and Revelation editions, like the subtleties between the differences. Ugh, love it. Well, they're not extremely subtle, but you know, if you know, you know. I mean, I'm sure I would love it just as much if I didn't have both editions, and I don't have the first one, so and I still love the Zone Zone. You know what I mean? Where is the Rogue? Here it is. I was like, "Are you hiding from me? You've been exposed, Rogue." Oh, that's the wrong box top. See, this is the Seven of Swords in the Vitruvian edition. It's just storms, volcanoes, and everything else. In the Revelation edition, again, it's seen. The storm that was in the back has quieted. Something has awakened. Maybe that's some sea serpent consciousness. Maybe that's us, you, whoever. Again, and facing the Three of Swords and moving beyond it and taking back our power from those situations with the Archangel Commander rather than being triggered into fear and avoidance. There are things that we're privy to that we can see now, plain as day, that we couldn't before. And it's interesting because there's actually a comet in here. There's a shooting star. So Seven of Swords is actually giving us a wish energy. Or it's the energy, yeah. And it's not the Nine of Cups. The easiest context for this would be, well, first it's like self-sabotage, where we Seven of Swords against ourselves whenever oof, call me out. But that was like literally my life. Like there were opportunities that I would work hard to receive. Like dreams coming true. Like, yes, like this is the first step on the journey that I want to have as I'm getting closer towards my career. But when it comes to actually taking those opportunities, I was met with the future that I couldn't see, that I feared, that I didn't believe in. So I let them go. I Seven of Swords myself. And then, you know, of course, I'm feeling extra beat up and I'm beating myself up. And because it's like I did this and I didn't take like the opportunity. But again, now in the absence of all of that, we actually get to take it on and we get to follow the star until it hits the earth. And it feels like when that star collides with the earth, I mean, it's like a new Yggdrasil sprouts. It's something foreign to the landscape, but it brings about beauty in an area, in a situation that was full of desolation before. Oh gosh. Oh well, just threw that card. Here we go. Oh no, I don't want to leave tabs. What is going on with my computer just closing all my tabs? Hello? And then the Holy Grail, the Ace of Cups, came out yesterday or the day before yesterday with New World Order, I think. Or was it the Tower? I think no, it was the Tower and the Ace of Cups. And then that led to New World Order and something else. This is cool. I like this. So the IC is fourth house energy. We have the moon in Aquarius on the IC. The Aquarius on the IC is interesting because I feel like, again, the IC fourth house, it's typically or standardly Cancer. It's very like home and family. And Aquarius is a very, because it can be so like quirky and unique and outside the box and future thinking. Um, the home life of Aquarius it reads interesting because it would kind of read a little cold ish. It doesn't read as warm as some other energies. You know what I mean? And the Archangel Commander, being a King of Swords, is fixed air, which is Aquarius. But the moon is there. The moon's been doing some interesting things because that moon in Sagittarius with the oh look, the erudite is at the bottom of the deck. This is the erudite before. This is the erudite. This is the new erudite. Oh, the erudite has revealed its face. Can you see that? Hey, Kizzy Cat and Astro Rins. Hello. How are y'all doing today? Excuse me. Kizzy Cat lurking. I see that eye. What is happening? Aquarius moon? Oh snap. My best friend is a Virgo with an Aquarius moon and rising. My okay, mouse. Work. Oops, hold up. What is happening? My mouse is like just jumping all over the place and it's not even moving. Okay. There we go. I guess I don't know what was triggering the little optical beam, but something was triggering the optical beam and it was just jumping all around. I was like, okay. So now it's time for the final cards. That happened to you all day yesterday. What's going on with the mice? What's going on with the mice? Oh, okay. Okay. Virgo is after Leo. Oh, so we have a Saturn Jupiter conjunction in Leo with the Five of Wands and the Six of Wands. And then there's Aquarius again in the healer, the star under this. But the erudite flipped over, it came back out. Jupiter is faster than Saturn because it's closer to Earth. Or it's closer to the sun, but we're closer to the sun than both of those. So because it's closer to us, it's like it's closer to us, so it moves faster, but in reality, it's closer to the sun. And that's the thing again about the farmer or the scientist. And it's like both are correct, but which is more true and doesn't matter. Um, but I was gonna say it feels like Jupiter and Leo got something that it's gonna bring with it when it reaches Virgo. But then Saturn and Leo was right behind it. It feels like when Saturn and Jupiter were conjuncted, Jupiter was able to see something about itself that it wasn't able to see before. And it's like, I don't know. Let's just run with the story of when Saturn and Jupiter usually conjunct, they're at each other's throats. Jupiter's like, I don't want to be, oof. Jupiter is the kind of Pisces that I am. When I'm like, don't tell me to be realistic. I want to run with this fantasy. But it's like this time, instead of it being, it's like instead of Jupiter focusing on its opposite, restricting and restraining force, it actually was present for the experience. And so there were things about Jupiter's boundless expansion that it saw the negative drawbacks to this time. But now that that conjunction is broken and they've separated, it's like Jupiter has to move forward, not restricting itself. It's like Jupiter's learning to move forward more responsibly. And who's more responsible than a Virgo? You know what I mean? Come on, mutable Earth. Help us all. Your iPhone switching you from one app to a YouTube stream, then boop, a song plays, boop, new video stream, boop, ad. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Renz. I try to be sometimes. Oof. Sometimes I'm not. And I just oof. And I get over it. Well, I'm not going to say sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's like a little heavy. But so, yeah, that's what that feels like. It feels like with Jupiter moving into Virgo. But Virgo is also not necessarily an energy that's super frivolous. That's why, not why, but Virgo opposes Pisces. So Jupiter would be in fall, question mark. Jupiter would be opposite of where its home is. Jupiter is exalted in Leo, isn't it? I think Jupiter is exalted in Leo with all the creativity and fun and not necessarily carnality, but I think Jupiter is exalted in Leo. I'm gonna look it up. Unless somebody else knows. Does anybody know if Jupiter is exalted in Leo? Exaltation in Cancer? Jupiter is exalted in Cancer? What? Is that real? Oh, well, Jupiter being a detriment in Capricorn makes sense. Or I don't know if detriment is the opposite of exaltation or if detriment is the opposite of domicile. But it's because of Saturn in Capricorn. Oof. So that makes like Jupiter being negatively impacted in Capricorn makes more sense to me than Jupiter being exalted in Cancer, but who am I? I'm just a dude. Yeah, see, that's what I was like. I was like, oh wait, like it would make sense for Jupiter to be exalted in Leo. But I don't make the rules. I didn't create the planets and astrology and the zodiac and anything. Um so it's not exalted in Leo. But anyway, it's not it's in a not happy place in Virgo because Virgo opposes home of Pisces. So it feels like Jupiter and Virgo would actually be helpful. Jupiter and Virgo would be the space where Jupiter learns to do it itself. So that by the time Jupiter enters Libra, it has a new balance. And Jupiter in Libra, I've read, is like Jupiter kind of likes Libra, like the balance and fairness or whatever. I don't know. My Jupiter is in Libra, so that's why I read Jupiter in Libra. Um, you have Saturn and Jupiter conjunct in Capricorn. Oof. So Jupiter would be, let's see if that's detriment or if it's fall. Okay. Here we go. Wait, Jupiter's in detriment in Gemini? So wait, is Jupiter? Hold up, I don't know anything about Jupiter because Jupiter could be domicile in Sagittarius. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Oh, it's domicile in Sagittarius. Are you serious? Ugh. Mm. Why not Pisces? Jupiter. In modern astrology, the ruler of Pisces is Neptune. So I guess that's why. Wait, is it domicile? And hold up. So let me see. Let me see. Let me keep scrolling. Jupiter is in fall in Capricorn. So exaltation in fall. It's detriment in Gemini because it's domicile in Sagittarius. So in Virgo, it carries through that detriment energy from when it traditionally ruled Pisces. It's got two homes. I don't know. You have Jupiter in Pisces? What? Jupiter return for you. You have 4 in Pisces in your chart? What? I feel like that'd be too much Pisces for me. My sun in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces is enough. I like if a person has sun and moon in Pisces or just the moon in Pisces, I'm like, how do you even life? My sun in Pisces is enough. I'm so glad my moon is in Taurus. Because if my moon was in a water sign and my sun was in Pisces, it would be too much. It would be too much for me. I'm like, I need something to ground me because sometimes the water is too much. So that means you had a Saturn return recently-ish before Saturn moved into Aquarius. Saturn and Capricorn, Jupiter and Gemini. Okay. Ooh. Oh. Oh, why are these in reverse? Moon in Taurus, Mercury in Aquarius, Sun in Aries. So that's a Moon Mercury square between Taurus and Aquarius. Oh, the Questor. So the Questor is the ferryman and the Vitruvian edition, and we saw the ferryman before. Heading to the giver, 6 of swords, 6 of pentacles. There's a 366. So it's actually heading towards this balance. Moon and Taurus. And then the politic, the 3 of wands. The politic, it's an energy of 3 prophets, sages coming together to get a prophecy. But with the 6 of swords coming out, it feels like it's already like underway. Um, well, the bottom of the deck is the Herald of the Earth. See, this is where I'm like, how about we not? Your moon is in Taurus too? Hey. Moon in Taurus crew. Boop, boop, boop. Mm. Yeah, that's something that I had to find. Lived life. Found out. But I think like if you can get that, because it's all internal. And so if you can like figure that out with the moon in Taurus, it's almost like it may give you the opportunity or the ability to be comfortable almost anywhere. Because as long as you're solid internally, it could make you unshakable. Then you gotta take care of the insides. I am going to elect to not read this. I'm gonna put this back and I'm gonna get something that I can read. Because I don't want to do else. I don't want to do. Your progressed moon is in Taurus. I think my progressed moon is in Gemini. I had a progressed lunar return. Progressed moon in Gemini, progressed sun in Aries. Woof. Oh, that's still a sextile. Okay. Because I have my sun is in Pisces, my moon is in Taurus. That sextile, it's like 14 degrees or 17. It's a 17-degree difference. So it's like if it is a sextile, it's extremely weak. Played out more like a square earlier in my life. It's in the in between. Because I guess it's almost in Gemini. Would it be closer to a square than it is a sextile? I think it would be. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. There we go. No. The Grotesque came out with the Hallowed Flame. Ace of Scepters, the Awakening. The Five of Chalices is the Grotesque. See, that's another. Oh, I don't know. Okay, anyway, back to this. I feel like this carries through the energy of. I can I Ching this. Hold up. This is that lake? No, that's water. Water over fire? Yeah, water over fire. Come through, Temperance. It's interesting because I was gonna guess fire because it's the opposite. Like we have broken, solid, broken, and solid, broken, solid. If you can see that, the I Ching. Like where one line is solid, it's in half on the other one. So let's read water over fire. What number is that? Ooh. Upper is water, lower is fire. Oh, wait, would this be the lower? And the other one would be. 1 second. Because I think the first one that came out is the lower. So this is fire over water. I could read both of them. I might read both of them. If I can find them. Oh, it's 63 and 64. Fire over or water over fire is 63 after the ending. Water over fire is 64 before the ending. So if I read both, I'm reading after the ending and before the ending. And that's like it felt like the Six of Swords and the Six of Pentacles was the ending that was being prophesied in the Three of Wands. Because the politic, they come together to seek prophecy. But it was like with the Six of Swords moving, it's like whatever vision they get, like it's already in motion. Oof. Oof, 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 oof. Is she really? I know. I think she's been posting in the Sight See the Tarot again. Um, like Sight See the Tarot. It was one video that she did. It was one of, I think it was, it's the one where it's two and two and two. And she's like, that's called clairaudience, or that's called clairvoyance. She has a sense of humor that's, I love it. But I'm going to try to find Le Book of Maps on my computer so I can read the I Ching. Where is it? Oh, where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, where. No. Boom, 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 boom. I don't have it in here. I have it on my phone. I tried. Yeah. I was like, oh snap, come through. She's like posted. I wanna I watched a little bit of one of her interviews that she did live with somebody else, and she was talking about the SKT and how it could be a lot. Somebody asked. Um it was definitely a challenge getting into it, but I mean it was quickly one of my faves. I feel like a lot of my decks are one of my favorites for one reason or another. 63 and 64. Let's get into it. I think there was a quicker way to do this than to like flip through all of these individually, but that's fine. 63, after the ending, this is water over fire. The sage anticipates possible misfortunes and pitfalls before advancing to best protect the people. Think about the consequences that your actions may have on others. A noble leader puts the people's welfare before self interests. You have done what you have done. The matter now is what happens next. It is time after an ending and at the start of a new beginning. It is the time after an ending and at the start of a new beginning. Call upon the illustrious ancestor. When it comes to receiving favor from the divine, the extravagance of your offerings do not matter. It is the sincerity of your heart and piety that matters more. And then reaching toward an end, the climax before the ending is fire over water. What is to be has not yet come to pass, but as you ford the river, you see the banks on the other side. You are about to peak in the situation at hand, but know that after every peak, there comes a time of stagnation and then an inevitable decline. No one is above regulation. There is an order that every one of us must follow, a higher authority that each one of us must submit to. When you forget that, then that is the start of the decline. Remember, reaching the top is only the halfway point. So it's before the ending and after the ending. The rest, I mean, if something in that resonated for you, then by all means take it. But it was besides the point. Not besides the point. But anyway. This Five of Cups is interesting because it feels like the Five of Cups led us to the river. And the Vitruvian Five of Cups is your traditional Five of Cups, where someone's like crying over the cups. Dahlia is fate. The Dahlia is a symbol of fate. Um, like they go to the river to drown their sorrows. But in this one, the river is actually parted so you can see this star, and it correlates to you somehow, us somehow. And then there's this goddess deity figure in the water. And so it's like it's a fated misfortune that gets us to experience more. I watched a few episodes of Marvel What If, and it makes me think of the absolute points. And in What If, Doctor Strange had an absolute point that had to happen because it led him to becoming Doctor Strange. It led him to delve into the magic to fix something that the mundane couldn't fix, or to undo something that the mundane couldn't fix. And then in him doing that, he like defeats Dormammu question mark, who was somebody that needed to be defeated, and he was the one to defeat him because of the magic. But without the initial tragedy, he would have never sought out the magic. Ergo, therefore, so too, he would have never defeated Dormammu. So it's like it had to happen because Dormammu couldn't continue to terrorize the universe. I don't know. I'm like barely know. The only reason why I'm kind of getting into Marvel is because I love like timelines, alternate universes, and then when things come together, and that's kind of sort of what they're doing right now. So that's why I'm getting into Marvel. Um, so there's a lot of incomplete things in that, but it is very like it led us here not to keep us in that position, which is again with this Three of Swords. This misfortune is not to bind us for all of our lives, and it's not for us to believe that certain things need to continue, but it feels like we only see this when we're done mourning, when we're ready to like take these two cups and move forward. And this is the ending. Before the ending is the person coming to mourn what they've lost. After the ending is them taking these two cups and moving forward. This is the moment in between. This is that place where we make the choice and decision to go beyond. And then the hallowed flame, the Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck, the awakening. I don't want to say it like it puts us in touch with our soul, but it puts us in a position to be of the mind to maybe not immediately. It may be one of those unintended consequences. Um, but because we choose something new, and because we follow through with those choices, and we don't just choose it and then like unchoose it at the slightest of inconveniences. I don't want to say it that way because I don't want to like when we make the choice and decision to continue that choice, and there are things that we're going to go through, we're going to falter, we're going to ask ourselves, is this what I really want, is this worth it? To you maybe it will be, to you maybe it won't be. Either way, it's like it's your choice and your choice is honored. But if you continue along that choice, like you become more. So there are things about yourself that you'll discover and that you'll learn and that you'll open up yourself to. Like it's partially to embody the truth of who you are more, or to embody other truths of who you are more. And it's partially to allow things to be born. It's like there are some things that are, there are some things that are yet to be. And those things that are yet to be, you become in this lifetime, which goes back to the past lives and suppression and the burdened one. before, what, 2 videos ago? Where it's like then your past, it transitions from something that holds you back and traumatizes you, and you actually get to build upon that foundation where you become more than you've been before. And if you believe in past lives, it's like this is a life where you add something new to your Rolodex, to your library, to your tool shed, in addition to the things that you've already acquired in past lives, in previous experiences, if you don't believe in past lives. Because we live many lives in one incarnation here. You know what I mean? And that's what this Ace of Wands Hallowed Flame Awakening is at the bottom of the deck. It happens on this side. But this is that in between. This is the ending. Again, that's where we make that choice and decision when we're done mourning, but before we walk away and start on that new path. And this, it could be a future self. It could be spirit. There's the bird up there. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. But it's like, either way, you'll live life and find out which it is. I love this deck. I love Benabelle. She's one of my faves. I was so excited when she posted that first video and she was like, SKT3 is coming. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I completely forgot about it. But luckily I got one before they sold out. Oh, I just put those cards away. I just put these cards away. And now I gotta get them back out. Please must come from plea. The secret sauce of unknown. Eagerly. Hold on, wait. I still got cards out on the table. I'm kind of getting hungry. Excuse me. I forgot the after tarot. Oh gosh. I thought I was almost done. It's fine. So the real final card, please come out. From Peacemaker series. I have not seen that series, but I know that John Cena shows his butt or something like that. That's all I know. That's all I know of Peacemaker. Ooh. I've been wanting tea for weeks. All I gotta do is make it. Like I have so many right here. I might go for the strawberry hibiscus. Wait, the show is funny? There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's the Herald of the Flame. With the convalescent at the bottom of the deck. Jupiter in Libra. There's Jupiter in Libra. Jupiter in Libra with Venus in Aquarius. So there's a Jupiter in Libra. Jupiter and Libra are the two benefics, and they're trining. One in Libra, one in Aquarius. Gemini's empty, but that's fine. Because Jupiter is in fall. Jupiter's in detriment. I already forgot. Jupiter doesn't like being in Gemini because it's at home in Sagittarius. But anyway. Oh, these cards came out before. It was all of these. All of these came out before. Um, and then there's the title card. The title card, the Live Life and Find Out card, right behind it. Right. This is the card that came out, the Herald of the Flame, and the Herald of the Flame. It's like closing the door on an old life. But the more you close it on the old life, the more you close it on the old life, the less you know of the current one. And for humans, that's a balance that we play. Our need to know with our desire for that which we've yet to experience. It's coming out with the Shining Waters, Knight of Cups, Waves of the Undine. Now, this is one of those cards where some of these cards I'm like, oof. It's kind of I'm like, I don't know if I ain't used it enough. I ain't delved into it enough. The knights in this deck, I'm like, okay, the shining ones. Um Excuse me. Okay. Um there's something about I mean it's the Knight of Cups, so it could be the veil. It looks more veil-y in the Five of Swords because of the mist behind the Hector. But this was the energy where it's like putting internal struggles to bed. Um, this is the internal struggle. Oh, with the Five of Swords. This is the internal struggle that motivates the actions of this individual. So this is inside of this individual. This is the individual that we can perceive from the outside. And depending on the nature of that struggle and the veracity, I think veracity means truth. I don't know why veracity popped into my mind. Because I wouldn't say depending on the level of truth in that struggle, but maybe. Yeah, I guess. That's why they can be so cutthroat in reality. It's like there's something that they're compensating for, maybe. Um, but this was the energy of like putting that conflict to bed, right? And then the Herald also came out. And so with this one, there's something crossing from the kingdom in the back to this side on the ground. There's not very much ground in this card. Like we assume that the city in the back is like, not one of those floating cities where everything is like on the water and it's connected by like whatever. And the horse only has one hoof on the ground. If it's even touched the ground yet. It could still be like in the air. Well, the horse is descending. A hoof is on the ground. The wings are about to fold up. After the wings fold up, this might look like any other horse to us. We may not even know it has wings. Um, and there's seahorse imagery here, both in the chest of the horse and on the. Oh, I should use this one more often. Look at how quick that focused. You gonna focus again or no? No. See, this is why I use this one because I can Autofocus. Boom. Manual override. Um, and this was the message that. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I was like, I don't get it. This is the message that the Herald of the Flame is bringing. The pages are heralds in this deck, and the heralds come with messages. It's almost like the more. Oh, is that the Archangel Commander is behind the title card? Look at that. Okay, work. So yeah, the more we can put this internal whatever at ease, the more we can allow for things to unfold. The more we can allow in general, the less we have to control. And then it makes room for other things to find us. And it feels like it's solidifying from the veil. It's like it has form and then it loses its form as it transverses the veil. And then as it reaches this side of the veil, it comes into a new form. And that new form is dependent upon this. Because this has the ability to transfigure and transform things as they make that transition. Where it's like what I expected and what arrived. That's the meme, right? It's like when you see something online and then it arrives in real life, and it's because of the veil. The veil, it has to like it's Mike TV from Willy Wonka, where we have to like break it down to digitize it, transmit it, and then reassemble it. It's that. But the assemblage of it on this side can't. I don't want to say it can get weird or wonky because then you'd have to know what it looked like on the other side. You know what I mean? So there are some good things that can become less good because of us and our perspectives and decisions. And then there are some bad things that can become good things because of us and our perspectives and decisions, or not as good things. Um, Potentially, you know. The Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. Interesting. With the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck. I like this King of Cups because it feels like his kingdom was in, because in the before there's not as much water. It feels like his kingdom was under threat of like drought, and this king had, as a lot of kings do, were fine. He had the resources. He had water. He wasn't thirsty, but his subjects were, and he decides to pour the cup out so that they have water, and with water they can irrigate and tend the fields. They can have something to drink so they're not dehydrated. And it feels like it's in the pouring out that the cup is refilled so it never runs dry. And it's not until the King of Cups pours his cup out that he realizes it doesn't run dry. And so he doesn't have to hoard it. And the Six of Pentacles is also here, with the more fortunate giving to the less fortunate, but not giving in a way that elevates itself above anyone else. Just because it can give doesn't mean it's any better. It's just in a position to give. Just because the other receives doesn't mean it's any worse or any lower. It's just in a position to receive. It's because of us having self-worth and self-value that's more comparative worth and comparative value in nature, that we see the teacher or the giver or the person ordering the food as better than the student, the receiver, or the waiter, just because that's the position or their role at that moment. Again, it's no value judgment at all. There's no correlation between someone's worth and what they do and what they're doing. Well, that's not how that correlation works, because I think there are some correlations in our actions and our choices and decisions and what motivates them and our decision making processes, I think that can reveal a lot about who we are as people. But just the fact that like somebody's a waiter doesn't mean anything. The fact that you're at the restaurant and you're ordering the food and someone else is making it again doesn't mean anything. And again, it's like it's that giving that actually accelerates and speeds up something else. This feels like the 6 of Swords. The 6 of Swords with the 6 of Pentacles. And then the 3 of Wands that we're seeing it again, like the ending. This accelerates the ending in a way. This is interesting though, because this is the after tarot, right? So just like the horse that was putting its hooves on the ground, the wands that were flying have found their destination. At least one of them has. And because this archer sees the wands, this is the signal. So now he fires the arrow and he continues the message forward. So it's like a relay race, right? Where you hand off the baton to someone else. The archer has gotten the signal, and maybe that it's the signal that triggers the release. But the signal that triggers this release, it feels like it would have been this release, which is again the reciprocal nature of the 6 of Pentacles. Release and giving reciprocates more release and giving, just like hoarding and selfishness reciprocates more hoarding and selfishness, which leads to shortages because everyone is hoarding. You know what I mean? Go to the grocery store. But this came out in the 63 I Ching, the one that was about self-interests and stuff like that. Um, when we act in self-interest, everyone else acts in self-interest, which leads us to more and more scarcity and things like that. I mean, get on social media. You'll see literally everybody. That's the one thing about like Facebook and just people in general that I found. I don't know if amusing is the word, but it's like I'll literally see everybody post like everybody doesn't have your heart. Everyone isn't as kind as you are, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, man, for everybody to think that they're this kind and they have these hearts, it feels like we would experience the reciprocation of it more. Like if everybody had this heart that they're like reblogging and retweeting and putting up on their wall, the world would be a different place. It's like you would have felt that. You would have experienced it somewhere. You wouldn't be the only one. Everybody thinks, I don't know. But we're all different. We have different love languages and we express appreciation and fondness and kindness in different ways. And if we're not open to the ways that other people express it, then we're going to feel that we're not loved or appreciated. But in reality, we just maybe can't recognize that other people are showing us that they love and appreciate us in ways that just are different than the ways that we show it. And should they show us in ways that we can recognize? Partially, yes, but should we also be open to allowing them to express love in the ways that they love to express love? Also, yes. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just used to think it was super like amusing or intriguing or interesting that I would see like literally everybody posting it. And it's like, okay, well, if we all have this heart, I feel like the world would be a much better place, but that's fine. It's fine. So, what do you do? Live life, breathe air. I know somehow I'm gonna get there and feel so wonderful. Nightmare Alley. What? Wait, what? Twitty is giving me like a whole trailer in a world where excuse me. Where's this book? Where did I put this book? Oh, it's right here. No, that's not the book. That's my. Oh, it's right here. Okay. It was under the SKTs. I looked right at the SKTs because I was like, the book. I thought the book was right here. The book was under the cards. And now I'll be putting away the Wild Unknown. But yeah, it's human capacity. You know, we can be kind and we can be loving and we can be nurturing, but a lot of us, it's like to a certain extent. You know, just like people who can be encouraging and supportive as long as you're worse off than they are. But as soon as you start to do as good and as soon as they think that you might actually do better than them, then it completely flips. It's like they can't be encouraging, they can't be supportive because you can be good. You just can't be better than they are. And again, that goes back to the Five of Swords, where that internal conflict, and because for whatever reason they think and believe, whatever way they think and believe, and how that limits their ability to show up in the world or impacts. I like impacts more than limits. How that impacts their ability to show up in the world and be caring and kind of compassionate, where sometimes maybe they do too much, but it's because of everything that's going on inside of them, probably because of what they've experienced in some way, form, and fashion, that the world continues to be what the world is. But it's like, you know, we all experience things in life. I don't know if any of us necessarily have more of a claim to anything than anyone else. And when we believe that we do, that's when we go back to the hoarding and the selfishness and, you know, like not true abundance, but, you know, humans gonna human until humans decide to be more, to be the truth of what humanity can be. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're in the process of doing that. Oh, the Seven of Pentacles. This is interesting because the Seven of Pentacles came out in the After Tarot, and the Seven of Pentacles in the After Tarot, the person is like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting for these Pentacles. I'll take one. So they're walking off with one Pentacle and leaving the other six. And at first, because it was a Seven of Pentacles with Judgment at the bottom of the deck, I believe. At first, I was like, oh, this person just gave up. They're just taking one Pentacle. But if the one is ripe and ready and the six still need to grow, then that's perfectly fine. You don't have to sit and watch the other six grow. You can take the one that's ready now and allow the others to mature. And that I actually like a lot. The bottom of the deck is Temperance. You want to know what's under Temperance? The Three of Swords. Both of these are cards of patience. But because of the cultivation that is the Seven of Pentacles, just like with the King of Cups pouring out the cups, speeding up or adding momentum to the shift and change, it feels like there are things that we can do in the meantime. Like while we are waiting on one thing, there are other things that we can be doing. I don't think we necessarily have to do them, but it feels like it'll be more fulfilling question mark than just sitting around waiting for something that'll come who knows when. Two of Cups at the cut with the lovers. Wait, I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad way to pass the time, right? um uh, See, but then that brings in an interesting conversation, I guess, Because it's like, I think the Two of Cups and the Lovers, it's almost like, who do you want to be? If you don't have a lover, it's like, well, who do you want to be when you find one? If you do have a lover, who do you want to be in that relationship, in that partnership? And for a long time, I was of the mind, and I'm still of the mind that like whoever I end with, they're gonna end up with, and I guess in life with, they're gonna love and accept me for me. So I'm not gonna try to be anything that I'm not because I'm not interested in being anything that I'm not. But here lately, after the one ending, and it's like after the last ending, but in this period before the next ending, and then I continue after that towards another end, death, rebirth cycles, right? Um, it's like there are a lot of things that I didn't want to be because of all of the limitations, because of the Three of Swords that I was feeling in my own life. And I was like, I'm going to be Three of Swords, and if I'm going to end up with somebody, they're going to have to accept me as this Three of Swords because I'm not doing any better. But that's not me anymore. I want more for myself, and I want more out of life. And because I want more for myself and I want more out of life, to be in resonance with me now as I am, it's a lot more than to be in resonance with me as I was. Um, and I never dated because I knew I would be toxic in a relationship. There were so many things within myself that I was not dealing with. Like I had a fear, like I didn't want to burden anybody else with like having to live life with me. So what sense would it make for me to go out and try to find somebody when I already know that like I don't want to find anybody because of said Three of Swords. So I can be mean and cruel and nasty and toxic and garbage, literal garbage to somebody else because of everything that I'm going through internally. Like, no, I'm gonna spare myself and someone else that. Um, but just in general, outside of relation, like there were a lot of things in life that I didn't want. There were a lot of flavors that I didn't know I want to savor, let alone even try. And now it's different, you know? And so who do I want to be in a relationship? I want to be me in a relationship, but it's not that I want to be better than I am now, but there are more things that I desire for myself. Things that I'm in the process of becoming and experiencing, things that, I'll get there when I get there. Maybe in some ways I'm already there. I just need the experience or the opportunity to show that I'm there or to make it physical and concrete, right? The Knight of Cups coming down and stepping on the ground before it sets all four hooves and then takes off and flies somewhere else. Who knows? Um, but it's more of that. And I feel like it goes back to that Five of Swords. It's like, who do we want to be in the world? Do we want to be that person that is like jealous and nasty and can't be happy for anybody who's succeeding because then it makes us think of our own failures? And it's like someone else's success has nothing to do with your success or failures. Like someone else doing well doesn't mean that you're doing bad. And I think it's like going back to the thing that I kind of touched on but avoided earlier, and I'm not going to get all the way into it. Um, but I think it might require a little bit more of us to be in a world where there's more than us. You know what I mean? And I can't describe it or put it into words. I know exactly, I can feel exactly what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to say it. So That's it. That's everything. I feel like I just glanced at myself and then looked away, and it looked like there was an eye right here. It was like I looked like there was an eye right here. I looked away and I looked back, and it's just like Saturn, purpley mist stars, but whatever. Whatever, whatever. There's the elucidator again. But yeah, and I think it's going to be a beautiful place that we end up in, but it's like the more we ask of the world, the more we have to be for that world. Again, it literally goes back to the 6 of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Knight of Swords, the Son of Swords. And when we hit that 3 of Swords, that goes back to the 3 of Cups that came out in the Starman Tarot. And it's like we have to handle our own stuff well enough that it doesn't bleed out into the world, which goes back to darkness encroaching upon the territory of light. Like your darkness is your darkness. Don't put that on me and don't put it on anybody else. Like when we are comforting each other, we're coming together. That's different. But when we're projecting and when we're being nasty and vile and when we're limiting others again because of our comparative worth rather than our self-worth, it keeps the whole world stuck. That's what stops the wheel from turning forward. And that's what keeps the wheel spinning back in the opposite direction to the one that we want to go in. It's like you got to handle you and then, show up in the world better. And it's not better um as far as good or bad, it's better in terms of the truth of who you are. You know what I mean? Again, going back to being triggered by things of the past, it keeps us from being in the moment. It takes us out of joy in spaces because of what we're feeling. And it's not for anybody to be like perfect, and it's not for you to not have baggage at all. But it's to like, again, like when you get in a space like 3 of Cups, like we're all coming together, we're all having a good time, and then all of a sudden somebody flips and they ruin the mood. It's like, now if it's justified, that's one thing. But it's like if you knew you were already in a mood, like you could have stayed home. Just stay home. Say no. Say that you're not feeling it tonight. But don't ruin my night. Hello? Because if you try to ruin my night, you'll be ruining your own. I'll be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go somewhere where I can enjoy this and have fun. Good luck working out whatever you're going through. That's on you, not for me. Bye. And there was a point in time when I was like that in not the healthiest way. But now I'm like, you know what? It's like I work too hard. I do too much. And it's not that I don't mind extending like compassion and kindness or whatever. But it's like, man, like some of that stuff, like if you're just projecting, and then if our interactions become like more and more and more projection than like enjoying each other's company. Not that I've necessarily been in that position, but it's just like, oof, work on what you need to work on and then come back to me. And I'll be working on what I need to work on, and then I'll come back to you if I'm the person. Because again, like I don't want to be the person that's putting that on other people. That's why I avoided relationships for as long as I avoided relationships because I knew I would be no good. And I'm not going to do that to somebody else because I don't want to feel lonely. Okay. Like I don't want to be alone and I don't want to be lonely, but at the same time, I don't want to be garbage to other people. So I think I'll like work through what I need to work through to be less and less and less garbage, to be more and more and more me, to enjoy life, moments, interactions more and more. But anyway, that's personal preference. We all have different preferences, and we'll find somebody who will, well, maybe sometimes, sometimes not. We'll find people who meet us where we are. And then it's in those meetings that we grow and we develop more. Again, those rockets of desire, right? By experiencing things, we know more of what we want to experience and more of what we don't want to experience. And there's no judgment anywhere in it, you know? I don't know. I feel like this went somewhere. But anyway, more honey, bigger pot. I love that. Um, I hope you all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality and whatever you need along your path, journey, or way. I hope you find it. And I hope it finds you. And I hope that you can be kind to yourself wherever you are in your journey. Um, and yeah, thank you all for being here. Twitty, Kizzy Cat, Tina, Renz, Bloomin' Rose. Sorry again. Bloomin' Rose popped up. I was like, oh, hey, Steph, how are you? Sorry. But also, Steph, if you catch this, how are you? I hope you're doing well. And I'll catch you all later. Have an excellent moment or a series of moments. Um, yeah. And I was thinking about that because Rob pulled what Aoz and Ragnarok for me, and then a whole bunch of suns came up after Ragnarok. Um, it's not necessarily what I thought it would be for me personally. It's been a lot of, it's been more like I said in the beginning. This fear is no longer founded. This thought is no longer valid. And it's like, wow, okay, well, if I don't have to be afraid of this anymore, and this is no longer a roadblock or an obstacle, then I guess I will just see what comes next, and I will be more keen to not be so quick to run away or to limit myself beyond my true limitations. So hopefully the same for you if it's your path and your journey. If it's not, don't let me project on you. Don't let me project on you if it ain't you. If it ain't you, don't take it. If it don't resonate.